Every year you hear more and more about wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, terrorism attacks, you name it. Everything is just getting more and more crazy, and we all know how 2020's been. Whatever the emergency might be, you want to make sure that you, your family, and everyone around you is prepared. And that includes knowing what you're going to do with your furry family members. The last thing you want is to be stressed out, not knowing what to do, and then find yourself looking for your pet who's actually gone to a shelter or who has just gotten lost in the chaos. In this video, I'm going to go over a few things you should keep in mind so that you're prepared in the event of some sort of evacuation situation or a natural disaster. I'm going to be sharing some pretty important information, so make sure you watch until the end and incorporate all of these tips. Make sure you have all of the bases covered so you don't have to make a situation like this more stressful than it already is. Make sure you watch until the end so I can share with you a little bonus clip of what I keep in my emergency kit.
Sasha, my name is Sasha and welcome to today's episode.
First and foremost, you want to make sure you have an emergency kit for all of your human family, household, yourself, etc., as well as for your pets. For the pet emergency kit, here is what I would recommend.
Make sure you pack any medications, vaccination records, microchip number, service animal paperwork, and your vet's info. It's a good idea to have an extra leash ready to go. Make sure you pack extra food and water bowls, as well as a carrying crate or a case, whatever you need for your pet, so as you're transporting them, they have a safe place to be in. It's also a good idea to have some squeaky chew toys so they're comfortable. You also want to have maybe 2 weeks of food and water packed and ready to go in case of an emergency. Some people even suggest to have some up-to-date photos of your pet to make it easier to reunite you guys in case you get separated. Where do you place all this stuff? I recommend staying organized because in an emergency situation, your thinking isn't going to be as streamlined as you would hope. I would keep the leashes in the same area or even put an extra in the kit so you don't forget it in the event of an emergency. The travel bowls I use for CB are in the same place along with a collapsible crate and all of the other stuff, so in case there ever was an emergency, I wouldn't have to search around for any of the stuff.
Alright, so you have all of your emergency stuff together, but it's going to be useless unless you know where these things are. So make sure you stay organized and put it in a safe place where all the rest of your stuff is, that you can just grab and go in case you have to leave. Next, you want to make sure that you have a plan of where you're going to go if there's an emergency, and that includes taking your pet. Because everywhere does not allow pets, there are evacuation shelters and hotels that don't allow pets. So you want to do a little bit of homework ahead of time so you're not scrambling when you're in the situation. Another option can be coordinating with friends and family from out of town to make accommodations for your pet in the case that you are displaced from your home. Make sure that your dog's tags are up to date along with your phone number, and get your pet microchip, because even if it's not an emergency situation but your pet gets your pet wanders off or gets lost, whatever it might be, getting a microchip in your pet is going to help a shelter or a veterinarian help track you down. Say you and your pet are separated for whatever reason it might be. If you have a microchip, you're going to have higher chances of being reunited. Whereas if there's no identification on your pet, say your phone number is not up to date on their collar, the shelter is not going to have a choice but to rehome your animal, or maybe even worst case scenario, put it down. Practice and evacuate early with your pets. Don't be under the impression that you're going to be able to come back and grab your animals and get out of there if it's an emergency situation. You want to practice because if your dog has never been in a car before and it's an emergency situation, the animal is going to get stressed out. If everybody is frantically running around amidst the chaos, your cat might run and hide because animals sense your energies, and you want to be prepared. You want to be able to get them out of the home and into safety with you as soon as possible. That being said, you also want to make sure that they are actually crate trained or can be transported in their carrier. If you're in an emergency situation, and say you even have to stay with your relatives for some time and they don't have any animals, I think they would be a lot happier if your animal is at least crate trained and can stay in that area for designated periods of time. And again, you want it to be crate trained so it can be safely transported from one location to another while you are also making sure that your family and you are safe. And when it comes to you and your family, make sure that everybody knows their responsibilities in the event of an emergency situation so that there's less scrambling going on. Now, of course, I hope you never find yourself in one of these situations, but life does happen and it's better to be prepared. Having a plan in place can literally be the difference between life and death. That's why you want to know what the plan is, how to execute it, make sure everyone knows their responsibilities, have your first aid kit, your emergency kit, your pet stuff all ready to go so it can be, like I said, a little less stressful than it has to be. As promised, I'm going to go through some of the items I keep in my emergency kit, and I keep this one close to CB's stuff as well because, again, I'm being prepared if there is an emergency situation, and I don't touch these items the rest of the year. I just make sure that they're up to date and nothing is damaged in the kit.
The first item is a hand crank radio. So in case of an emergency, this has an antenna, it has a flashlight, and also some USB charging supply. I also have a compass. I have some Pepto-Bismol and aspirin, an eye wash solution, some hand cream, ointment, hydrocortisone, calamine lotion, and first aid spray. Along with some disposable syringes. We have 4 because you just throw these away after one use. And I have a turkey baster or a nylon baster. I don't know exactly what you would use this for, but they always recommend this for emergency and first aid kits. And here I have sterile gauze sponges. This is a huge bag of it. There's some moleskin, some tape, and I forget what these things are called, but you wrap your ankles and broken bones and stuff. I have these 6-inch snap lights, safety light sticks. As you can see, they're safe instant light for power outages, natural disasters, emergency evacuation, marking off, traffic or anything like that. Next, I have these cold compress instant packs. I have this flashlight, which also can break a windshield, I think, with the side, and you can cut stuff. There's a little blade right here, and these also flash. And of course it has this little thingy. Of course I have a very basic thermometer. I have a large pack of bandages, and these are all different sizes. I have these emergency thermal blankets, and you can use these for waterproofing or windproofing something if you have to make a makeshift tent, if you need heat, anything like that. I have 2 emergency whistles. I have 2 sets of tweezers. One is a skinny tip, needle tip, I think. One is a more slanted tip here. And I also have these scissors to cut through clothes or the gauze or anything. Last, I have a very important item, which every first aid kit should have, which is a first aid manual so that anyone in an emergency can figure out what to do for most injuries. And if you turn it over, you can see that there is photographs, essential information, and it's the newest edition.
I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and of course, if you have anything to add, I am all ears or eyes. So have an amazing day, and I hope this was a useful video for you.